If you're new to sewing patterns, it can be really difficult to understand exactly what everything means. In part one of this video, I've gone through everything on the packaging that you need to understand, and now in part two, I'm going to open the packaging up and show you what's inside. It is really quite flimsy tissue paper. You need to be a bit careful. And here is the pattern. Inside, there is instructions, and the instructions look really overwhelming, but they're not. Because what you have to remember is that this is the instructions for all of it, and you're just following one of them. So just concentrate on one, whatever your one is. So it'll say page 1 of 4. Yeah? Page 2 of 4 and all that. So when you read through the instructions, make sure that you have a look, because each pattern is slightly different and there are different codes, but it will tell you exactly what those codes are. So along the top, it'll say things like this arrow represents the grain line. The grain line is where the grain of the fabric goes. So you always want to lie a pattern down the straight of the grain. Generally, if you have a piece of fabric and you get the two salvages together and you fold it salvage to salvage and keep it straight, you will get the grain straight. But the most important thing is that you don't just put your pattern on anywhere. You put it straight down the grain and then it will cut right, or if something's on the cross. But it'll tell you where to lay your grain line and where you want your grain line, which is really, really key. Then you have fold. So place on a fold line. That literally means if you fold your fabric over, place it on a fold. So for example, you might have half a top. If we look here, you might have half a back or half a top or half a waistband, and you put it on the fold line so that when you cut it out, you open it up and you obviously have two halves with the fold in the middle. So pay really close attention to where the salvages are, the fold line is, and the grain lines, and they're all marked here, and then they're also marked on the pattern. It'll also give you anything else that you need to know as you read the pattern through. It also gives you a key here, so it'll say the front side of the pattern, wrong side of the pattern, right side of the fabric, wrong side of the fabric, sewing key, all there, and then the glossary, double stitch, narrow hem. It's all explained on the pattern as a whole. When it means the right side of the pattern, it basically means writing up. When it means the wrong side, it means writing down, because sometimes you flip the pattern so you can get the other side of something. And with the fabric, some fabrics are really easy to tell the right and wrong side because it's got a print on or it hasn't. Other fabrics are a little bit more challenging, but generally the right side is the side that you want out at the end. So now we're going to focus just on top A because that's the one that we're making. So that's top A. If we have a look down here, it's pattern pieces. So it tells you all the pattern pieces that are in your packet. And a little bit underneath it, it will tell you which ones you need for A. So it'll say like 1, front A, 2, back A, 3, shoulder strap A. Further down, it will say 15, guide for elastic C and D. Sometimes, if a pattern is very close, so like for example, the trousers, we're just changing the shape of the waistband, so the legs don't really change, then the same pattern pieces might apply to both. So it might be C and D because the leg will be the same regardless of which waistband you do. So if you see one that is C and D, don't worry about it. Just follow the one that you are doing. And if that means you cut out a leg for another pattern as well, then that's fine. Cutting layout is how you lay the pattern out on the fabric. So it'll tell you where to fold your fabric, where the salvages are, the edges of the fabric, and it'll tell you if you lay the fabric out like this, and then if you put the pattern on it like this, that's the best way. It has lines within the pattern, and that's where your straight grain goes. So you want to make sure that they're like that. What you don't want to do is jigsaw on a piece of fabric and have all these, particularly with stretchy fabric, but with all fabrics, and have all your things going different ways, because if something's say cut on the cross or on the bias across the fabric, then it'll hang very differently from if it's cut on the straight. So you really need to make sure that you jigsaw your pieces down the straight of the selvage. You might end up with more fabric. For example, if you have been a bit more generous when you've bought your fabric, you might be able to lay your pattern pieces out slightly differently. But this is a very good suggestion of how to lay your pattern pieces out on your fabric. All the time, we're just following top A. So top A is just this bit. We don't need any of this because that's different patterns. And on this list, we only need top A. So all the way through, we're just going for top A. So then when we look here, more notes. I mean, I would say, I know it sounds like the most basic kind of school exam thing, but read your pattern first and understand it, and then you know what you're doing. But then just go one step at a time. Just go, right, I'll just concentrate on what I need to do next. I'll just concentrate on what I need to do next, because otherwise it can just get really overwhelming, particularly when some of your patterns get confusing. And sometimes patterns look a lot more complicated than they are. So just have a quick read and then take it one step at a time. So this is top A. So we're following these instructions, and it literally says 1, reinforce, 2. So we're going this way, all the way down, and then we get to the back. So this is all top A. This, obviously, then we start going into different patterns altogether. So a lot of this you're not going to need. But what you might need, this does carry on with top A actually. Top A goes down to here. And then top B. And then pants. So this is an example, pants C, D and E, because they're the same instructions again. So you'll follow the instructions up to a point and then it will switch to which pattern. So just keep looking A. Just keep following A and looking for A. So then you get your pieces and it comes as one big sheet. There are already cuttings out because I have already done this. But when you look at it, it's just one sheet with lots of different things on. So you need to find the pieces that you specifically need. This stuff does get really annoying. Put that there. So this is a top piece. So this is 1. So I know from my thing that 1 correlates to top A, and it does say on it front A. And so I know I need to cut out top 1. Round the edge, there's like a solid line, a dotted line, a further out dotted line. That's all your different sizes. So you know if you're going to cut out a large, which is what I've cut out here. No, I've cut out medium. I'm going to follow the medium line all the way round. So just keep following the medium line all the way round. And that's your medium. And again, for any other one. Here is the grain line. Do you see that arrow? That's what needs to go on the straight of your fabric, straight down your fabric, so that when you cut it out, that sits on the straight, and when we have a finished top, it goes straight down. It also says cut 2. So we need 2 of these, the same. We need to make sure we know how many pieces we want, because don't just assume that because there's 1 piece in the pack that you only need to cut 1 piece, because sometimes it will say cut 2. Sometimes it'll say cut 1. On it as well, there's little markings. Like for example, on this particular pattern, these markings are there because we cut and we thread it through. All of that is in your instructions, but make sure you keep all these markings very visible. There's also notches. So you can cut these little notches out or around, and that just keeps you in line so that when you're making it, if you match notches to notches on the next piece, you'll know that you're in line and you're in the right place. So the notches will just make sure that you are staying in line all the way through. So it comes like this, and you need to pick where exactly you want to cut. And I would suggest that you cut out all your pattern pieces first and then put the rest of it away, because there will be a lot left over that you don't need, that is relating to other bits of other types, other variations, etc. So you need to make sure that you put all that away and you're left just with the pieces that you need for A, front facing A, front A, and keep all of your A pieces together. Once you have all your pieces cut out, then you just need to lay them on the fabric in the way that it is suggested in your pattern. then from there, it is literally just take it one step at a time. Sometimes the patterns can be a bit more confusing, but most of the time, if you literally just go one step at a time, then you will end up with the finished product. There are always little bits of guidance on stretchy things as well. So, for example, we have elastic in this. So here, 4 inch of folded fabric must stretch from here to here. So here on the side of your pattern, if you put 4 inches of fabric folded, you need to stretch it and it needs to meet there for it to work, because different fabrics have different stretches. So it gives you all those kind of guidelines that you need. So you will lay it there, you'll pull it, and if it reaches there, you're fine. If it reaches well past that, then your fabric's probably a bit too stretchy, you might need to take it in. Or if it doesn't quite reach it, it might not be stretchy enough. You do get 2-way and 4-way stretch, so you need to make sure it stretches both ways. But there's little guides everywhere. You just have to follow, take it one step at a time, and then you will end up with a finished garment. The best advice I can give you when using a pattern is to pick one that you really want. Find the right fabric, the right pattern pieces, everything that you need extra, the elastic, zips, buttons, whatever it might be. Get them all ready before you start, and then cut generously. Because the more generous you cut, the more you can make mistakes and get smaller. Whereas if you make mistakes on a small piece, you can't get bigger and it ends up getting smaller. I've never wished I'd cut something smaller in the first place. Always cut bigger, and then you can take in as needed. Stretchy things are a little bit trickier, but don't be scared of lycra because it's easy once you get the hang of it. Just use your pattern step by step. People choose between pins and weights. Obviously, because this is a bit flimsy, people don't necessarily like pinning it, but you can pin through this, it's fine, and pin it again and pin it again. Just be a bit careful with it, but it's all right. And the best thing I would say is get a pattern, get started, and if it goes wrong, do it again and keep trying.